Welcome to Bible Study with Fred. I'm reading from Ephesians chapter 2, Paul's letter to the church of Ephesus, chapter 2, verse 15, making some brief comments today. So you'll follow along with me. Ephesians 2:15. Having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace. So there is a rebellion and war between the natural man or woman and God. Romans 8:7. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. The natural man or woman is incapable of receiving the things that God offers to mankind through his Spirit. 1 Corinthians 2:14. The natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them because they are spiritually discerned. The natural man, quote unquote, who figures so prominently in popular songs from the 1960s onward as an ideal, is a complete idiot and totally separated from the God who created him or her and bound for damnation, a natural man's natural destiny. In popular culture, what started as rebellion against the humanism and power/control games of the established organized churches ended up being a glorification of man's rebellion against God. Both the unrepentant sinner bound for hell, who glories in their natural man state, and the hypocrites in church pulpits and pews who deceive them shall give an account of themselves before God, I assure you. When an unsaved person comes into your church and he learns from you that he must do such and such or that he must change such and such to be a Christian, you are teaching him pure humanistic self help drivel. Only God changes a person's heart through his words in his book, read, heard, and preached. It is not an act of the good intentions of any man. This is why so many people come forward who desire to be cleansed of drug and alcohol addiction, sexual obsessions, and a ruined life, who never come back to church. Churches in America are simply good at taking a natural man or woman and covering them with a gloss, sheen, a veneer of Christian principles and ideals which they have no hope of claiming as their own, leaving them frustrated and discouraged. Only when a new believer is taught to speak to God in prayer. Hang on a second here. Get this. Okay. Had to give him his plate. I saved him a plate. So only when a new believer is taught to speak to God in prayer and to let God speak to them and change them through his words daily and often does he have any hope of being anything but a natural man who is simply now even more confused and disappointed. In fact, there are even a lot of natural men preaching from fundamentalist pulpits these days. There are criminal rap sheets for abusing those weaker than themselves for proof of that. So it is impossible to depend upon either the will or the mind of the natural man or woman to receive the things of God. God alone, as Jesus Christ, without our help or assistance, abolished the enmity between us, which was proven by our inability to follow the standards of righteousness which he set down in the form of the law given to Moses. Read Genesis 15 to see how God established a covenant with Abraham, without Abram's works other than simply believing God. The law given to Moses established our inability to do God's will on our own. James 2:10. For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. Our inability to obey God is proof that the law itself leads us to Christ. Galatians 3:24 and 25. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ, that we might be justified by faith. But after that faith has come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster. A Bible commentator, Matthew Henry, in his 18th century commentary on the whole Bible, that said that for verse 14 and 15, that the middle wall of partition was between the Jew and the Gentile, and that this twain, two, made one new man, the Jew, God's chosen people, the remnant in particular, who obeyed the law and followed Christ, and the Gentiles who believed, both together being made the church, Christ's body on earth. He also made note of the enmity between God and the sinner, and how Christ reconciled that enmity. Commentator John Gill also viewed the two or twain as being a reference to the Jew and the Gentile who believed, becoming the church. There are only three types of people in this age. There are unsaved Jews, unsaved Gentiles, and the church, composed of believing Jews and Gentiles. See 1 Corinthians 10:32 for that division. So then I'm going to continue with this thought in verse 16, but I'm going to stop this for now. Please read your Bible, study your Bible, two different things, cross-reference the verses, Pray to God for wisdom and understanding, and then share your interpretation with someone else. I'm asking you to just sometimes, just daily, just read your Bible. Let God speak to you through it. Let it change you. But then also to study it, cross-referencing the verses. That's important. Both those are important. All right. We'll pick it up in verse 16 next. Thank you.